Alrighty. I think we are we're all set. So, camera A. Alright. Green on. Hello everybody. We're going to make another 3 pots today, like we do every day, but today I'm not going to roll the intro, and I got work in a little bit, so I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to try my best to get to comments, but if I can't, forgive me, I'm on a time crunch. Alright, green off. Camera C. Alright, so we're going to get right into it here. A lot of water. Get this over here. Clean that off. Camera B. Just slowly push this down. There we go. Get it as centered as possible before we even start. A little bit of water right on that bottom ridge. 2 lanes of traffic coming towards each other, right in between. Yep, that's center, right? Again, at the bottom. And remember not to cup it as you're going up. Sometimes you can cut it off. We'll do one more just for the fun of it. And then I'm going to slowly bring that in. A little bit of water. I push down a little bit more, right? And so that bottom part had an awkward fold. So then we're bringing my hand up towards myself. This hand is coming up towards me. That's what's getting that bottom back on center. I have some air pocket underneath there stuck in, but we'll cut through that later. For now, hammer fist right over top. And slowly bring that to your palm. And there you go, you got something pretty close to center here. Give it a little bit more love. Go slow. There you go. I always start with like this hockey puck shape. I think that's a good place to start. Thumbs down. A little bit of water on the inside here. Your fingers cutting right across that bottom edge, right? Don't allow the clay to really push you around. Like, you want to be able to be the one in charge of that clay there. That's going to help you out a little bit. So the air pocket is in this wall. I can feel that. So it's going to be a little bit off, but I'm telling you that don't freak out. You don't have to get it perfect. You can get it perfect when you start doing your poles and centering this stuff. So, okay. Go very slow up the side of this pot here. Equal out those things. The llama turns into a volcano here. My knuckle right on the bottom edge. And I slowly am pushing this inwards here. Right? And I'm just trying to really fix up that bottom, because that bottom there's some off-centered stuff. And so when I'm pushing my knuckle in, I'm really trying my best to overpower what the clay is wanting my finger to like fall into, right? Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, so those first 2 poles were all for getting the clay equalized. This next pole is going to be for some height. And so we're going to go to the bottom. I'm going to say, hey clay, you got anything for us? Clay will usually have a little bump. And so we thank the clay for the bump. Let me take that all the way up to the top edge there, right? Very slow on that top. Okay, nice. Okay. A little bit of water right on that edge. Smooth that out. Get some water out of the inside. And then this one, I'm feeling like we can start the tree from the bottom instead of making a buffer. So we're going to start by getting off the bottom tendril, off the bottom of the pot there. And we're going to start going up. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 in there. Take those 6 up ever so slightly. And then we really want this bottom to fold first. So we're going to emphasize that bottom part with our middle finger and really try to jam those in there before we even start doing our spider pull on the top here. If I'm up here on the top, I got to make sure my fingers are pretty nice and even. I'm slowly bringing this out. And you'll see it's starting to want to tuck up in that inside middle there. And it'll just be round right on this top edge. Smooth this out ever so slightly. There we go. Pull that bottom edge out just a tiny bit. Take my little, usually it's a wooden knife, but this time it's a plastic knife because I left my tools at work. So I use some different tools. Let some of this junk get up off my pot. Okay, right down at the bottom, add some water in some places because I'm going to throw this bottom edge out just a tiny bit. So pinky right up underneath. Slowly drawing that bottom edge outward ever so slightly. Start again from that bottom edge. Don't go too thin on that base or else it's going to collapse inwards. When I'm looking at this one, I'm seeing more of the in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay, so we got that sort of going on the bottom there. Go right up to this bottom edge, clean that up, all right, and there's pot number 1. Great. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to set this right on here. All right. So, oh yeah, camera C. Camera C. So, we're going to go with number 2 now. Prep our new chunk of clay. Sometimes I like to wedge them beforehand so you guys don't have to sit and watch me wedge every time. So that's what I did here. Wipe my hands on my pants just a little bit. Take the clay. This one's a hard chunk, so we're going to have to approach this one a little bit differently. Some water right on the wheel. Nice. Pull this out. Nice. Okay. I'm slowly pushing this down. There we go. Look at that. Great. Okay, water right on that bottom edge. Taking that in to get it attached. Pushing my hand down first to try to smooth out some of those lines. Cup it into my hand and slowly pull up. And we don't want to use too much force because again, the clay is pretty hard and so it's going to want to rip more than it's going to want to stretch and move. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind, especially as we're going down here. We start trying to project some more of that clay upwards. Right in this middle section, I can even feel it going kind of a little bit crazy. But I do want to see how thin I can get some of these spots because the clay is definitely going to be kind of lumpy, right? Like if I'm feeling it, there's spots where it's a little bit harder, and there's spots where it's a little bit more soft, right? And so I want to kind of focus on getting that a little bit more equalized, because sometimes as you're throwing, if you all of a sudden you hit a hard chunk, it can knock you off, right? Get my fist down, and slowly bring that towards the palm of my hand. So from the middle, slowly bring that. The bottom edge, nice. Fingers on the inside there, nice. A little water on the interior, nice. Slowly clawing this back, nice. Okay, the water right at that base. Alright, I just want to make sure it's nice and even on that bottom base. Also, as I'm going up here, I'm hitting a lot of uneven chunks. I mean, look how uneven that is, but that's all okay. I'm going to start with going to the bottom of the pot here. Knuckle, right on this bottom edge. Nice. Again, right to the bottom. I'm just trying to get those walls pretty equal. I went a little bit too thin on the top already, so we got to keep that in mind for when we start doing our normal pulls to lessen up the pressure when we get to that top edge. Camera B. Okay. Push that down ever so slightly. I got one more in here. But again, it's a little bit off in that middle part, right? That's what I'm feeling. It's kind of getting kicked off. So again, down to the bottom. And so you can see how kicked off it really is in a lot of spots, and that's because it's more of like an oval on the inside. And so there becomes a little spot on my finger where it just skips. And so it emphasizes that as I'm going up. But you can still finish the pull. It's still round, just a little bit oval-like. You can kind of see that. When you see it spinning. Okay. Some of that water out. Great, all that water's out. We're gonna go again right at the bottom and do a couple twists. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right to the top. That looks pretty good. This one has a really nice twist, actually. I added a lot of water in this middle part, so I'm a little bit worried that it's going to want to collapse later on there. That's okay. Again, slowly pushing some of this clay down, slowly pulling some of it out. Nice. Okay. Right down to the bottom edge here. Slowly taking that edge out. This one is a cut on the bottom, so like when I see this, I sense that I'm going to cut this bottom edge here. So I'm slowly taking this out, bring that across, 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 and there we go. Looks pretty good. Okay, curling up these edges. Looks pretty good. Put that in, take that up, put that in, take that up, put that in, take that up. Take that up. There we go. Okay, now I'm at the bottom edge here. Nice. Number 2, done. This one looks pretty good, if I do say. I think that this one has a really strong twist on this interior here. You know, maybe we even do a little pot examination on this one. Well, it's not totally on the pins, but that's okay. Wipe my hands off a little bit. Alrighty, I'll turn my green on. Alright, green on. Alrighty. So, if I'm looking at this pot, there's a couple of things that I think stand out, right? I think that first and foremost, the twist of the veins of the tree, right? These little veins that go up and twist. I think those are probably some of the most solid ones in a little bit too. Something that I like about it is that there's actually some space in this middle part here to really let it breathe and talk pretty loudly. Sometimes that gets a little bit swamped by either the top edge or the bottom tendrils coming up a little bit too tall or not enough, right? But I think right as soon as this starts really trying to tuck in, that's when the tendrils sort of lead into it. So I think that looks really good. The top, I think, is still a little bit bland, but this middle part is just so loud, I don't think I really mind too much. And so that's kind of my little thing on that. Anyway, green off. Camera C? Okay. So I'm going to bring this over now. I think we don't need to add any more water, so we'll set it right on top of our bucket. We got one more pot to throw, and that's all we got for today. Last chunk of clay. Right over top here. Add a little bit of water. Nice. Take my little plastic knife tool here. Just bring that all the way out to the edge. I take this, slowly push down. Okay, nice. Okay, right underneath this bottom edge. Just running my finger along that. I'm slowly trying to project my hand upwards here. It's okay. Again, we're trying to get that upwards. You guys can't really see. Camera B. Camera B. Thank you. Slowly at this bottom edge, take that up. And then as it's getting wobbly on the top, you got to project that forward ever so slightly. Because it's almost always going to want to twist and rip near the bottom edge. It's usually going to twist and rip where like hard clay meets soft clay, right? Because you're putting off-center tension. You can really see how it's wanting to rip off right this bottom section. But don't let that spook you out. Really just set your hand down there. Put the pressure down under. Keep that hand right up underneath. Right, this hand right up underneath, and then you can get it right on center there. And so you're just kind of cutting through rather than pushing. And so once you cut through, you can kind of get rid of, you can get away with a lot of things that normally would be difficult to deal with by just cutting through the clay rather than pushing it. And so that's kind of like my favorite thing I kind of discovered. Anyway, fist goes down, right on top, slowly bring it out to the palm. You got a pretty centered object here, right? Okay. Push a little bit on the inside. A little bit off-centered, so we got to make sure we fill the pond with some water. Can't let the tadpoles dry out. Fingers cutting through that bottom edge. There we go. Nice. And so you really feel when they start cutting, all of a sudden the clay will be pushing your fingers and then it will just stop, right? It'll feel like all of a sudden you're cutting through like butter that you left out overnight, right? Deceptively soft. Okay. Anyway, you get that bottom edge. You're going to slowly bring this up with your llama pole. And you're going to get it into your volcano. You know, why are we getting it into this volcano, right? Even though we're keeping the clay pretty equal thickness, when we make it narrow, we're actually thinning it out, right? Because we're going to open this back up and the walls are going to thin out as it's opening. And so there becomes a natural taper to this top edge. Sometimes people throw with way too much clay on the top and they'll end up pulling and ripping off their clay, right? So I'm right down at the bottom here. I'm slowly pushing this upwards until I get to a point where I feel like I'm getting too thin, and I lessen up my pressure. Again, I'm going to go right to the bottom of the pot here. Do that same exact thing. So this is where I'm letting up the pressure a little bit. Okay, and so neither of those were pulls for height. They were both pulls for getting the clay a little bit equalized. This next one is going to be a pull for height. And so I'll show you that here. Get a little bit of water on that top edge. A little bit of water right in the base. Nice. Okay. Slowly start pushing this finger down. And slowly say, thank you, clay, for this little bump. We'll take it on a journey. All the way up the side of the clay here. It's getting a little bit tense. Just add some more water. Finish out the pull. So there is our pull for height, right? Okay. And we're going to go down to the bottom here. Get some of that water out of there. Everything always starts with a cylinder, everyone. I think that that's really the important part. The cylinder first, and then something else can happen afterwards. Okay. So, we try to get as much as we can. Let's see if we can get even just a little bit more out of here. That's good enough. So let's go. Stop. Okay, so we have the little spiral set. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. And we're just emphasizing what we already made, right? Okay, we got that set, so now we're gonna go for the collapse here. I actually think that looks quite nice. I like the way it kind of tucks back in. Maybe we'll just kind of leave that. We'll get this maybe a little bit further out. Go right up at that bottom edge there, slowly. Slowly pushing this out ever so slightly. You're allowed to make one full rotation before you push it up. Right, you gotta be careful because if you put too much tension, you lost a lot of that vertical support through the twist, so it's gonna want to actually pull over and tip over. But I just wanted to kind of open this one up because the last one I didn't get to, so I thought maybe that this would be a good opportunity. I'm right at this bottom edge. I take the clay. I'm taking my little knife tool. I'm right up underneath here. Nice. Okay. A little bit of water right on this rim. A little water right underneath. pinkies are doing a lot of the throwing here. Slowly pulling this out. Nice. Just kiss that rim with that sponge. There we go. Ready to cut this bottom edge. Slice. 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 We got one more. Slice. Okay. And bring these up right over this top edge. Bring that in, bring that in, kick that out, kick that out. Okay, so there we go. There's pot number 3. Slowly take that out, clean it off just a little bit. Camera C. Okay, so we're gonna have this guy front and center. I feel like this one's a little bit more unique because I opened up the top. So I have him first. Second, we'll have pot number 2. I think pot number 2 actually turned out pretty sick. Look at that. Nice. Oop. Camera A. Does it look, y'all? That's okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty acceptable. So we got those 3. Come over here. Alrighty. Green on. Alright, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. We got these 3 pots today. I think that first and foremost, I think if we look in this area, I think that this pot right here, I think really this one turned out probably the best out of today. Either this one or pot number 2. I think there's still something that's happening with that tendril, that middle part, that I think is really attractive. But if I'm looking at this one, I think a lot of times they come in and they close up. So there's something that's cool about that full release of it opening up like a blossom of a flower or something, right? Where sometimes I feel like it's almost like the blossom's getting ready to open up on some of the other pots. And the one in the back, I don't know, it's okay. That's it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. All the best and strong mentality.